All right, let's dive into a story that honestly sounds like it was ripped straight out of a horror movie. We're talking about a brand new, multi-million-dollar bridge, a symbol of progress, that's now sitting completely empty. And why? Well, the locals will tell you it's being guarded by a terrifying ghost. Let's get into it.
So this is the big question at the heart of it all, right? You've got this community, isolated for who knows how long. They finally get this amazing modern bridge that's supposed to connect them to the world, and nobody uses it. It just sits there. You have to wonder, what could be so scary that people would rather stay cut off?
To really understand what's going on, we have to start where it all begins for the village, with the local legend. The story that has absolutely paralyzed everyone with fear and convinced them that this bridge is truly cursed.
So here's the situation. The village of Rajarampur basically poured its heart and soul and a ton of money into building this bridge. It was meant to be their lifeline, their connection to the modern world. But nope, it's a ghost town. The locals are certain there's a spirit, what they call a chudail, patrolling it, and she's not letting anyone get across.
And this is where our main characters come in. Meet Vikrant, the actual engineer who designed and built this very bridge. He's coming back home after a 2-year absence with his wife, Radhika. Now, you can just imagine Radhika's confusion. They get to the river, and they have to get on this old, creaky boat, while a perfectly good, modern bridge is standing right there, completely empty.
For Radhika, what starts out as just being a little weird and confusing, well, it spirals into something way more personal and, frankly, a lot more terrifying. This isn't just some old folktale anymore. Whatever's on that bridge is now reaching out directly to her.
And things just keep getting creepier. At night, the bridge is visible right from her window, and she says it just looms there, looking sinister. Then she starts hearing these faint voices, kind of calling her name, trying to lure her out. And then comes the nightmare, a dark, shadowy thing grabbing her, pulling her onto the bridge. But here's the kicker. She wakes up gasping for air, and she is soaking wet, like completely drenched, as if she was just dragged out of the river.
So, while Radhika is being terrorized, her suspicion is growing too. She catches her husband, Vikrant, having these hushed, late-night meetings with a group of 4 men, all whispering about the bridge. And whenever she tries to ask him about it, he just shuts down, completely clams up. She can't help but wonder, is this ghost somehow connected to whatever secret her husband is so desperate to keep?
And then everything hits a breaking point. Vikrant and Radhika, who's pregnant by now, they try to get out of there, to flee the village, but it's like the ghost's power just explodes. A freak storm suddenly kicks up on the river, their boat gets thrown around like a toy, and they hear this terrifying voice warning them that nobody leaves. That's it, they're trapped.
Okay, so you're trapped in this village, there's a baby on the way, and there's a malevolent spirit on the only bridge out of town. You can't ignore it anymore. A final, terrifying showdown is basically unavoidable. This is where the human world is about to go head-to-head with the supernatural.
So months go by, and Radhika has a healthy baby. You'd think there'd be some relief, right? But there isn't. She feels this constant, invisible presence hanging around her child. Sometimes she sees the baby smiling or gurgling at nothing, at empty space. The same dark shadow that haunted her now seems fixated on her newborn.
And then, the absolute worst-case scenario happens. Radhika jolts awake one night, and the baby's crib is empty. She frantically looks out the window, and her heart just stops. Her tiny baby is out there, in the dark, crawling across that haunted bridge, moving straight towards a shadowy figure that's just waiting for him.
Vikrant and Radhika sprint out to the bridge, and there she is, the ghost. And she's holding their baby. The whole village is watching in stunned silence as she speaks, but she's looking right at Radhika. And what she says isn't a threat, it's an accusation. She says, "Ask your husband what he did to my child."
And just like that, every single eye in the village turns to Vikrant. He's cornered, he's terrified, and his child's life is hanging in the balance. He has no choice left. He has to confess. The horrifying secret behind this cursed bridge is finally about to come out.
And what a confession it is. It turns out, 4 years ago, Vikrant's career was on the line. The bridge just kept collapsing, over and over, and none of the engineers could figure out why. Desperate, he listened to a dark, superstitious piece of advice, that the river demanded a human sacrifice. And in a moment of pure ambition and weakness, he paid one of his workers to sacrifice his own infant child, burying the poor kid's body right there in the bridge's foundation.
As for the child's mother, she was driven mad by grief and later died in a tragic accident at that very same construction site. So, you see, this completely changes everything. The so-called ghost isn't some random demon. She's the spirit of that grieving mother. For her, that bridge isn't a bridge at all. It's her child's tombstone. And she hasn't been haunting it. She's been protecting it.
Once you understand that horrifying truth, the whole game changes. The goal isn't to fight a monster anymore. It's about finding justice for a murdered child and his mother. And the only way forward now is through a promise from one mother to another.
This part is just incredible. Instead of screaming or begging for her baby back, Radhika walks towards the spirit with nothing but empathy. She speaks to her not as a ghost, but as a fellow mother. She acknowledges the terrible thing her husband did, and she pleads with her, "Don't let this cycle of violence continue. Don't harm another innocent child."
Radhika basically lays out two paths. There's the path of revenge, a child for a child, an eye for an eye. It's simple, it's justice in its own dark way. But then she offers another path, the path of redemption, a way to take this place of unimaginable tragedy and turn it into something good.
And here's the beautiful pact she proposes. First, she promises the bridge will always be treated as a sacred memorial for the child who was lost. Second, everyone who crosses it will have to pay a small toll. And third, and this is the key, every single rupee collected from that toll will be used to help other poor, innocent children in the area.
And the ghost, the mother, she accepts. She understands that true justice won't come from more death, but from creating a legacy of life and help for others. She gently places the baby back in Radhika's arms, and as the sun starts to rise over the horizon, her spirit finally finds peace and just fades away. The curse is broken.
But the story doesn't end there. The bridge finally opened, and the people of the village, they kept Radhika's promise. To this very day, nobody calls it by its official government name. Everyone knows it as Money Rajapul, the Little King's Bridge. It serves as a permanent, living memorial to the child buried beneath it, turning a tale of absolute horror into a timeless lesson on forgiveness and redemption.